Good morning and welcome to Chess League, guys. I can't tell you how excited I am about the chess tournament which started here last Sunday. Plenty of interesting games already, lots of kids are playing. I'll be reviewing some of their games to show you how you can improve your chess. Because don't get me wrong, playing chess is fun, but trust me, you'll get a lot more pleasure in playing chess if you know what you're doing, if you know how to win, if you know how to beat your opponent and score more points in chess tournament. Let's have a look at some of the games from round number 1. Now, the first thing which I noticed is that some of the games are very short. Let's see why. First game, Jackson versus Nathan. White played e4, black played e5. Quick history lesson. 200 years ago, the most popular move for white here was f4, which is king's gambit. Very aggressive and active opening. White sacrifice f-pawn, and in return, they have advantage in development. Over the last couple of centuries, tastes have changed dramatically. These days, the most common move for white is by far knight to f3, developing the knight and attacking pawn on e5. But let's have a look what actually happened in the game. Queen to g4! No way you should be playing like that! Let me just explain you one thing. In the opening, you need to develop your pieces. Knights, bishops, castle, rooks, and then queen. Instead of queen g4, white should have played knight f3 or knight c3 or maybe bishop c4, developing their pieces. But okay, queen to g4. Black played knight to h6. While this move does develop black's knight, I have to admit that this move puts the knight into a very unfavorable position. When choose a square for your knight, please always keep in mind that the knight is stronger if it is closer to the center of the board. The knight is weaker if it is on the edge of the board. So by now I hope you would have guessed that knight to f6 would have been a far better move for blacks. Knight h6, queen d1, bishop c5, knight f3, castle, bishop c4, developing the bishop. Now I must admit the last couple of moves made by black were quite good. Black developed the bishop onto c5, they've also castled, putting the king into a safe position. The good plan for black here would have been to continue with the development, playing knight c6. Another option for black would have been to play c6 with idea d5 invading the center. Instead, black decided to play g5. I would like you to pay attention to this move as I will be explaining to you why this is not a good move. Firstly, move g5 does not develop any pieces whatsoever. Black's knight on b8 and black's bishop on c8 are still undeveloped, so naturally you would need to develop them by playing, for example, knight c6 and then d6. Secondly, move g5 makes black's king vulnerable, as the pawn on g7 was defending the king. Once the pawn moved from g7 to g5, there is no protection anymore. Finally, the pawn on g5 can become an attack itself. At the moment, the pawn on g5 is attacked by the knight on f3 and defended by the queen on d8. However, white can easily put a lot more pressure on g5 pawn by playing simply d4. This move attacks the bishop on c5 and the pawn on g5. So if, for example, black takes the pawn on d4, white would have taken the pawn on g5, attacking the queen and the knight at the same time. So in this position, d4 would have been by far the best move for white. I love such moves. Strong, attacking, developing. That's exactly how you should be playing. Instead, white took a pawn on g5. This move is a blunder. White are going to lose their knight now. Queen takes g5. Pawn to f4. This move is another blunder, as the pawn on f4 is undefended. Queen takes f4, threatening. Queen f2 checkmate. White did not see this coming and simply played d3, attacking black's queen. Instead, they should have played queen to e2, defending f2 square. After d3, queen f2 is a checkmate, which was done in the game. Queen f2, checkmate. I just can't stress enough how important the rule of development is. Please never ever violate this rule. Second game, Dev versus Anushka. White played e4, black responded with e5. Now, as you know here, white normally plays knight f3 or knight c3 or bishop c4. In this game, white decided to play d3. Now, in this position, that's not the best move, because by playing d3, white are blocking the bishop on f1. Black played knight f6, white played bishop g5, black played bishop c5, good development move. Now here white decided to trade the bishop on g5 for a knight on f6. I will try to explain to you why this trade is not in white's best interest. Firstly, this trade automatically develops black's queen. Secondly, if most of your pawns, and here I'm talking about pawns on d3 and e4, if they are located on light squares, generally speaking, you need to keep your dark square bishop on board to protect dark squares. Black played queen takes f6, threatening queen f2 checkmate. White did see this threat, however, they didn't find the best defense from this threat, and they played pawn to f3, putting another pawn into a light square. Now please have a look at white's bishop. It is now completely blocked by white's pawns. It can only move to e2. It is now becoming like a pawn instead of being a full bishop. White should have played here queen to d2, defending the pawn on f2. After f3 move, black could have taken full advantage of weak dark squares in white's position. They should have played queen to b6, attacking pawn on b2 and knight on g1. If they played that, they would have won a pawn. Instead, black decided to play knight to c6, white played c3, black played d6, white played b4, and again, white are simply moving the pawns forward instead of developing their pieces. Bishop to b6, now g4. That move is a clear blunder. Bishop takes g4. White cannot take the bishop on g4 as it will be followed by queen f2 checkmate. White played knight d2, which is another blunder. This time, however, black did not see the winning opportunity. They should have played queen to h4 check and then queen to f2 checkmate. Instead, they preferred to castle. h3. And that's another move with a pawn instead of developing their pieces. This time, luckily for black, they saw that they can win straight away. Queen to h4 check, king e2, that's the only one move for the king, and queen f2 checkmate. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed looking at your games. I will see you next time. Goodbye.